Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am recording this in lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, where it is Sunday, the 29th of December in the year 2024. And this is the final Sunday in 2024. And therefore, this is the final podcast of 2024. So there is so much to say this week, so many things that we need to be aware of as we go into January of 2025. And so I will begin with Chiron, because Chiron went direct this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, 4:13 p.m. And Chiron, as we've said many times on this podcast, Chiron is an interesting little guy. He is slow moving. He takes 50 years to orbit the zodiac. And so you have your Chiron return at 50. And he is the guy that in mythology, as we know, is called the wounded healer, because he had a wound. And due to this wound, a physical wound, I think he was stabbed in the leg by accident by one of the other gods he was hanging out with. He's half god, he's half mortal, so he's a demigod. And because he was a demigod, he couldn't have a normal human death. If he had been solely a mortal, he would have been able to die from his wound and be out of pain. But he was always in pain because of his godlike status, which is interesting, right? So the gods decided to put him out of his misery and give him his own immortality as the centaur in the constellations in the heavens. So when you look up at the heavens and you see the constellation of the centaur, it's Chiron that we're talking about. And, Chiron, more importantly for each and every one of us, is a place in our astrological chart where we need to do some emotional homework, some things that are uncomfortable, some things that feel like an everlasting wound. It is turning direct in the sign of Aries, and it's the exact point of the sun's exaltation, which is interesting because this is where the sun is really, at its most vitality, its greatest vitality at 19 degrees of Aries, and Chiron is there. So this is very interesting. It is a place in our charts and a place in our lives where we seek healing and transformation and self-acceptance. And we have to face our issues and rise above them and transcend them in those areas of our astrological charts. And right now, it's in Aries, like I said, and wherever Aries is, you are experiencing this direct station of Chiron. But you also have a natal placement in your astrological chart, and you will then work to heal, uncover, accept, transcend all the dynamics that go along with your Chiron placement. So if you're someone who has Chiron on a natal planet such as Venus, then your relationships have a hint of the wound, inadequacy, needing self-acceptance, embracing what happens in your relationships with other people and your financial life, because it's Venus, right? So it is a very interesting placement for us to explore in our own astrological charts, and you can always do that with me if you join me in session. But I can tell you by transit, Chiron is no picnic. And I have experienced Chiron, I'm sure I've said this before here, I've experienced Chiron through my sign years ago. And this was one of the hardest things that I have ever had to contend with, because I had to say goodbye to so many people. There was so much loss at the time, including my partner and my parents and a friend and so many people at that time. And watching Chiron go through my sign was not like when I had Uranus and Neptune go through my sign, basically at the same time. It was not the feeling that I had with Chiron. So the outer planets going through a sign, or your sign, where your sun sign is, don't respond the same way Chiron does. And I feel like the outer planets are giving us an opportunity to transform, and we feel better as a result of them. I don't think I ever felt better as a result of Chiron transiting my sign, you know? So it's a little hard to work with, but it does involve a lot of self-acceptance and transcendence and the willingness to heal and transform. So with him going direct in Aries today, you may have felt some sort of emotional bump. I know I woke up in the middle of the night for the first time in a really long time and just was laying there awake and I laid there and I said, this is Chiron. This is Chiron. And so Chiron is now stationing, moving forward. But we have other things happening tomorrow that are sort of going to be in this energy. You know, as anything stations forward, it takes a few days, right? And it needs to sort of shake out the retrograde. So tomorrow we have a new moon. And so I think the new moon kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the other things this week. Now, a new moon, we are in the dark of the moon now because the new moon has not happened. And so this is giving us an opportunity to sort of explore some more darker things that might be floating around in our consciousness. And so Chiron is something, when it goes direct, we might feel like, whew, you know, we've been working with it for, say, 5 months now or so, retrograde, now maybe we're going to just release a lot of the things that felt like a wound to us in all this time. And you probably felt it through these last days up and coming. So tomorrow there is a new moon in the sign of Capricorn because we are in Capricorn season, as you know. And this is tomorrow, the 30th of December. And that new moon occurs at 9 degrees Capricorn, 44 minutes at 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time. So the new moon is in an earth sign and a sign of great discipline and duty and responsibility. And this is not what we want right now. It's always that we don't want to think about responsibility. I'm seeing so much on Instagram. It's like, this is the liminal space week. This is the week of how we don't know what day it is. We sleep late, you know, that week between Christmas and New Year's where, you know, everybody is sort of floating around in their own little whirlwind of holiday magic, which is very nice, or holiday restoration, like you're now sleeping late after all the festivities, all the shopping, all the cooking, all the wrapping of gifts, all the shipping out of things, receiving things in the mail, all the holiday hustle and bustle. So now we don't really want to be in the responsible mode, but this is an interesting time because, okay, so Chiron's direct, we've got one thing. Now we've got this new moon, which is asking us to look at that Capricorn area of our chart and where do we need to maybe be a little responsible or a little achievement-oriented, thinking about all the things we want to be holding in our hand, the things that are tangible. What tangible goals are we trying to fulfill right now? Now, this is not the first new moon of this month. There was a new moon back on December 1st, on Sunday, December 1st at 9 degrees Sagittarius. The new moons have been falling at 9 degrees. That was certainly in Scorpio and Sag and now in Capricorn. But this is the second new moon in the month of December, which is called a black moon. And this is a very rare occurrence and apparently only occurs once every 29 years. Sounds like a Saturn thing. Now, with a black moon, it's apparently something, well, obviously we don't see the moon, okay? We don't see the moon when it's new because it's not getting the radiance of the sun like the full moon is. And so it's a dark space. And then when the new moon occurs, we start to see that little sliver, the little crescent in the sky that shows us the moon is coming back. It's waxing. So we can experience this final lunation of the year 2024 and the final new moon of 2024 this week. And, you know, that energy is with us already, and then it will continue these next several days. But getting our wishes fulfilled is what the black moon is about. Manifesting, doing a little mysticism, doing some rituals, some space cleanses. And that's always good to end the year doing a space cleanse and starting the new year. So you can make some real intentions for this new moon, and it will probably be a very powerful experience as it's the end of the year. So emotionally, the end of the year is always a powerful experience. And then when you couple that with a lot of lunar energy, you're going to see more emotional things get put aside and step forward into the new, and maybe feel things a little stronger than you normally would when New Year's Eve happens and there's no new moon. But then after the moon is finished with its tour of duty in Capricorn, it eventually goes into Aquarius, which obviously it does this every month. So after it finishes Capricorn, it goes into Aquarius, and it does that on Wednesday the 1st at 5:50 a.m. It enters Aquarius, that is Eastern time. Why do I care about this? Because our friends Mars and Pluto are going to be opposing one another. And they are going to come in for their second opposition. Now, they opposed each other, interestingly enough, at the beginning of November, when we had this a new moon back in Scorpio, back on Friday the 1st of November. Then on Sunday the 3rd, the Mars and Pluto opposed one another in the wee hours of the morning. And so this new moon is going to have a follow-up of the Mars-Pluto opposition, just as it did back in early November. So 2 months ago, essentially, we had a new moon and then Mars-Pluto, and now, again, we are having a new moon and then Mars-Pluto. And this time, after the new moon and then the moon goes into Aquarius, it is going to trigger the Mars-Pluto. So Mars is in Leo, retrograde, and Pluto is in the very beginning of Aquarius. And Pluto is about to finally switch off from 0 degrees Aquarius to 1 degree of Aquarius. And that is where we are going to get the hit from Mars. So they're really kind of revved up anyway. But what I think is going to happen here is that as we get into Wednesday, we're going to feel the moon conjunct Pluto at 7:45 a.m. Eastern time, and then oppose Mars at 8:53 a.m. Eastern time. So this is going to be within a very short window of time that these are going to happen, and Mars and Pluto are going to get triggered by this moon. So they're already close in opposition, and the opposition doesn't occur till the wee hours of Friday morning Eastern time. So if you are in the Eastern time zone, it's 2:21 a.m. Friday the 3rd, but Pacific time zone, it's the night before, 11:21 p.m. And if you're somewhere else in the world, then you're going to probably feel it on Friday. But regardless, this new moon is going to then open the door for Mars and Pluto to oppose and get triggered by the moon that has just been new. This is a lot of emotions. This is a lot of emotions. This is a lot of stuff. This is a lot of things that we are going to have to feel through and contend with as we move into New Year's Day. So what does this look like? Well, let's talk about this emotionally. If Mars is retrograde, and it's going to be retrograde until February 23rd. What does that tell us about New Year's Day? To me, right now, I feel like New Year's Day is just, we're opening a new calendar. Yeah, it's a new month. It's a new month. It's a new year, numerically. But emotionally, psychologically, we still have a whole lot of stuff to work through that started in 2024. And so 2025 is not going to feel particularly new to us. It's going to feel like we are working through stuff that is still on our plate from the year before. And this is very true. There are things that are going to be hanging in the air for you and for each and every one of us that are still giving us 2024 vibes and still are asking for completion of things from the previous year. We all have something on our plate that we have to finish, or we want to finish, and that we want to just, roll it up, put it away, or like send it out in the mail, or do whatever we need to do to wrap up the significant issue from the last few months. Now, this isn't saying that the whole year is going to be like old. This is going to be a new year, but we still have things on our plate we have to resolve. And Mars is the action-oriented planet, but it's retrograde. So this is a particularly unmotivating time. We are not motivated because Mars is the planet of motivation and it's retrograde. He's the planet of action, confidence. We are stepping back to handle all these details and make sure every piece of this is finished up by the time we get to the 23rd of February. And we have all these, we essentially have 2 more months of this. If you don't feel motivated to go back to work after Christmas, you are not alone. It doesn't feel like you're ready. It doesn't feel like you have energy because our energy is kind of sapped from a retrograde Mars. Mars is what springs us out of bed. Mars is what gets us to the gym. Mars gets us like driving down the street. Mars does all of this. It helps us initiate. Now, that doesn't mean you're just going to take the next 2 months off. It means that you're going to go to work and remember the things that you still have to deal with that still are left over from 2024 that are not finished. So you may have worked your butt off in these last several months, but it's not done. And you have to trust the universe right now. We've got to trust the universe that this is in divine timing because it's not an accident. It's not like we had control over this. Mars is retrograde. It's been retrograde since December 6th. That means this last few weeks, we are dealing with things that are not going to be finished. And so we have to be okay with that. And we have to trust this is divine timing. There are so many things that you don't realize, that we don't realize, require our patience and our stepping back and letting go. And there are so many things that we've had to contend with that are maybe a little slower than we would like them to be, but it's okay. We can't push right now because Mars retrograde will push back. And so there is a reason for this. We don't know it yet. We don't know why. We don't know what this means for us ultimately, but we'll find out down the road. There is a reason for it. There is an energetic alignment that we need to experience in order to go forward the way we wish to go forward or can go forward with our work and our things that are on our plate. It may be a family issue. It may be a work issue. It may be some sort of financial issue. It depends on where Mars is for you. The universe knows what it's doing. I have learned this over and over. And sometimes we just have to say, I surrender, and I give my troubles to the universe, to God, to Source, to Goddess, to Mother Nature. I surrender this to the heavens. And I've had a few little things these last couple days and week. There were little things I just said, I don't know what to do about this. I need to do something. I need to buy this gift. I need to give this gift to someone. Who's it going to go to? There were some things that happened and I just let go. I just said, I don't know. And then the answer appeared. And I was really grateful for that. I was really grateful. And I think this is sort of the energetic alignment and the essence of what this Mars retrograde is asking us to do. It's in Leo right now. And the fact that it's opposing Pluto in Aquarius, this is the first time because they were both in Capricorn and Cancer when the opposition occurred in early November. So this is another energy. It's a continuation of that story, the opposition, but that was really about Capricorn and Cancer. Pluto's gone from Capricorn forever. So that's it, forever, in our lifetime. And this is now a different view of that story. Mars is in Leo. Pluto's in Aquarius. This is fixed. Those were cardinals. This is a little more stubborn energy, okay? But we are looking at something happening here that is not comfortable. Mars and Pluto are octaves of one. Mars is the lower octave of Pluto. Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. They are similar in nature. They both rule Scorpio. Well, Mars was the traditional ruler until Pluto came along. But this is an intense energy. Mars and Pluto are intense together. Okay, the opposition is intense. It's powerful. It is a big ego thing. It is a big confidence thing. But this time, Mars is retrograde. And Mars and Pluto are going to oppose one another. And this is not the same energy that we had back in early November. This is different because maybe there's a part of us, we're going to get into some sort of kerfuffle. That's what Mars and Pluto often do. And we can't do anything about it, or we feel like we're frustrated about it, or we can't take action for it because we know not to start a war during Mars retrograde. And you may want to light a fire, start a war with someone or something, and then just say, you know what? This is not worth it. I'm not going to go there. And so the thing is to sit with yourself and work this out internally. And then why did you get so heated that you wanted to start the fire or the war? What is it within you that needed to do that or wanted to do that? Why are you triggered? And so this is a lot of triggering because the moon is going to come in and hit those two planets bright and early Wednesday morning. And then they are going to oppose late Thursday, early Friday. And this means that the inflammation is going to start on Wednesday, New Year's Day. So we're walking into the new year with some kerfuffle about to occur, or internal kerfuffle that, something is complicated for us and we've got to sort it out energetically, spiritually, emotionally. Okay? I would say let go as much as you can. Try not to control things and watch your temper. My goodness, watch your temper. If you are out partying on New Year's Eve, please watch your temper, watch the traffic, watch your consumption or indulgence of anything. Just be careful and try to find peace within this, okay? There is something hanging in the air that's going to start on New Year's Day, go into the next couple days, that may be inflammatory, and the last thing we want is to cause more issues. The last thing you want is to get into some sort of argument, fight, confrontation with someone. Look at yourself. Why are you triggered? And make sure you do your emotional homework for this, because this is a big trigger. Be careful when you are driving. If you don't have to drive, don't drive. There are going to be other people who are not in control of their emotions. And just be aware that there are some things that may be floating around in the air that maybe you don't necessarily feel, but other people do, and they may impact you. So just be as kind as you can. Be as loving as you can. Lovingly let go of 2024 and open to 2025. Okay? Open gently, sweetly, say a prayer, set an intention, light a candle, do a reading. Here we read the cards every New Year's Eve. And we started this, the archetype cards, not the tarot. We read the archetype cards, the wild unknown archetype cards, just because I got them in 2019 when they were released. And we decided to read them on New Year's Eve. And it was fun. And then 2019, of course, was the New Year's before 2020. And if you remember the stories on my Instagram, if you followed me there, 2019, when we read the cards, and there's 4 cards in the particular reading that I do. And when we read them on 2019 New Year's Eve, they were very unusual and distinctively in black and white. And what I couldn't believe is with such a colorful deck that these 4 black and white cards came. And one of them was the fault line, and another one of them was the riddle, and another one of them was the animal. And we could not understand what 2020 what was telling us about 2020, what 2020 was going to be about. And we soon found out not long after that, a couple months later, we found out what 2020 was going to be about. But what a startling reading it was. What an unusual and striking reading it was. And when we did that, I was just so puzzled. And then when it all happened, and I looked at my friends here and I said, the reading, the 2019 reading, oh my God, the reading that we did a couple months ago. And that was a little goosebump moment. So we're going to do that again. Last year I didn't take a picture of them. This year I will take a picture and post them on my Instagram on the 1st of January. So we will see what comes. We will see what comes for 2025 as we open to this new year with Mars and Pluto and with the moon triggering them. So be brave, be strong, be resilient, be calm, and you can handle anything that comes. The lighter moment will come on the 2nd of January, which is when Venus will enter Pisces at 10:24 p.m. Venus likes Pisces. This is going to happen before Mars and Pluto oppose. I mean, they'll be in opposition, but the exactitude will not occur before the Venus and Pisces. Venus and Pisces will happen first. And so Venus likes Pisces. She's exalted there. So this is a good, loving, empathic turn of events. And one hopes that this is going to give us some real strong and beautiful moments as we move into the new year. Mars will move back into Cancer on Monday, the 6th of January. And we'll talk more about that on next week's podcast, okay? Because it's taking its last week in Leo. And after it leaves Leo on Monday, the 6th of January, the Epiphany, it's not going back into Leo again till April 19th. So all of January, all of February, all of March, and 3 weeks of April, almost 3 weeks of April, Mars will be in Cancer. It is not Mars's favorite sign. Mars likes to be in Capricorn where it's exalted, and so therefore it's a little more complicated when it's in the sign of Cancer. But you can bet that Mars in Cancer is going to bring each of us some energetics towards releasing old emotions and old insecurities. So we're going to have to confront those things, okay? This is very tender. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Work with the energy. And again, give what you cannot deal with right now. Just give it to the universe and allow the universe to work its magic, and it knows what it's doing. So work with Mars in Cancer that way. There's going to be a lot more to talk about as we go through these next months because Mars isn't finished. Mars has got a long way to go before it comes back into Leo. So this is it, the last week of Mars in energetic Leo. And that's what's sort of helping this go along, right? It's helping the energy of Mars not be so quiet, because Leo is a fire sign, and Leo is, a joyous, happy, elated kind of creative sign. And so when it goes back into Cancer, it's going to be more sensitive. There's going to be more tenderness, maybe more ouch, maybe more looking, staying quiet, being contemplative, time to really work with that energy of stepping really within. Cancer, I think of Cancer as like, it's the moon, right? And, it's like the womb, the mother's womb. So it's like kind of maybe a little bit of returning to the nest and sifting out and sorting out the emotions. Contemplating is a good way to spend that Mars time in Cancer. Okay. Lots to sort through, lots of emotions, lots of feelings, and don't be afraid of them. Face them. And so Mars is about facing things. It's about bravery. It's about confidence and courage. And even when it's retrograde, we can use it to face our deepest emotions that might be uncomfortable for us and that we don't necessarily want to look at. okay? There may be some family things that have to get sorted out, right? Because it's Cancer. It's a sign of Cancer. So one will hope that we are present for ourselves during that time and stay connected to our feelings. Do what you need to do. Write, meditate, journal, process your emotions. And it can be a time of deep integration, which is a really good thing. So use Mars wisely over this next week, especially, and then as it goes back into Cancer. It's not going to oppose Pluto till it gets out of Cancer and goes back into Leo. So this is the last opposition to Pluto this coming week until it gets out of Cancer and it goes into Leo again in April. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, right? If you are feeling really uncomfortable and need to sort out what surfaces, by all means, reach out to someone you trust, someone that is going to be supportive of you, and also you can come to me for a session, and we can sort out where Mars and Pluto are and how they are surfacing in your life and in your astrological chart. So if you want a session with me, go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com, click book online, and you can book a session there. And I invite you to really pay attention to this because I think there's going to be a lot of information for each of us that this reveals. So work with it. It'll be interesting. It won't be dull. It'll never be dull. And please don't start any confrontations on New Year's Eve. Don't start the new year with some wild confrontation or argument or anything. Be kind, be gentle, love your friends, love the people around you. Be grateful for everything that you have received in this year of 2024 and set up the gratitude for 2025. You know, when you cast your energetic projections for 2025, put a piece of gratitude in there. I'm grateful that I'm going to, get that new job. I'm grateful that the new job is mine. Even if you don't have it yet, because, as we know, gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. So embrace what you want to have happen, cast your energetic projection, and be grateful for what that is and what you're going to receive. Have a beautiful new year. If you'd like to see me for a session, Reiki, astrology, emotional clearing, or if you'd like to do expansion mentoring, contact me through my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. You can DM me on Instagram, The Golden Astrologer, where I'll be talking about more of these things this week. You can contact me through email, deb@debmcbride.com, or info@thegoldenastrologer.com. And I am happy to work with each and every one of you. Thank you all for a beautiful 2024, for listening to me, staying with me every week, listening to me on my podcast. I love all of you. I am grateful for each and every one of you. Blessings and blessings for 2025, and I will see you in the new year.